What is going on, comic fans? Welcome to At Week's End, the spoiler filled look back at this week in comics and more. But tonight is a very special episode. We're going to be talking and spoiling only one thing, and that's the brand new series, Blade Forger, from the amazing Miranda brothers. You know their name from We Live, and everyone's been waiting for this project for a long time. And the project is here. The Miranda brothers are here. Let's go. Joined as always by my co-host, none other than Sector 2815, back again. How are you, Paul?
Good. I am so excited to be talking to the Miranda brothers tonight. It's getting to meet all these creators every once in a while is it makes me all tingly.
Yeah. We had I've had the Miranda brothers on before for We Live. We had the entire Ghost Machine crew on at the launch of Ghost Machine, and we've been on with Jeremy Adams with the DC Deep Dive, and now
We should do that again.
Yeah, we'll be doing. We can talk about that at the end if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, because then we'll be promoting that right after we're done with this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's not waste their time or our time or the people in the chat time. We appreciate everyone being here. We got none other than Inaki and Roy Miranda, the creators of We Live and the most recently brand new title, Blade Forger, out this week. How are you guys doing?
We're fine. Thanks for having us, guys.
Oh, dude, thank y'all for carving out time. Yeah. I assume, well, we're very aware. Y'all are both very busy, from Roy dropping brand new music stuff and you working on multiple titles, which, by the way, I've talked to you. I've loved the Godzilla stuff. Absolutely loved it. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. And Frank Thierry, isn't that his name, who wrote it?
Yes.
So that series has been an anomaly. It's such a great story because I pick up everything Godzilla, and that one stood out with story and the art. So that's been an absolute treat. And I hope other people out there give it a shot. I talk about it often, but we're here today to talk about your brand new title, Blade Forger. And I think it'd be difficult to talk about what's going on now without talking about what got you here specifically, because everyone knows y'all's names because of We Live, that exploded. And a lot of people might not know what happened. I don't know how much you're willing to talk about or can talk about what happened with that book that got you, led us to Blade Forger.
Well, I think whoever searched in the internet knows what happened, but we can sum it up. I mean, the book we were lucky, it was an instant hit for Aftershock. And we got really excited because we planned like 8 volumes or 7 volumes of story. And so we said, okay, we're going to do this right. And it got optioned by Netflix, everything. And right in the verge of, we've started already scripting the first issue of the next volume, and I even did some sketches for the new characters. And suddenly the bankruptcy news came in, and it was just adapting to whatever was happening. And so far it's been how many, 3 years or 2 years since it. I just lost track of it. 2 years.
2 years, I think, yeah.
And it's still, locked up in the bankruptcy situation. It's like a legal bubble that you can't do anything until that gets solved.
Now, is it something that y'all expect after a long enough time you'll have it back in your possession, or is it just considered gone forever at this point?
I mean, we know that they if they get back to normal, they want to keep doing it. So it's really it'll depend on on fate.
I think about Hitoto on a regular basis. I want to know what happened with this kid.
No, we do too. To be honest, I mean, it's because the story just because Volume 2 was kind of weird in the sense that it was a very sudden shift of the storytelling. And we were confident that with Volume 3 we're going to, because there was a purpose for Volume 2 to reestablish a new status quo that would allow us to get back on the emotional the story of both characters. And we got really great ideas for that. So we too, I mean, we it's in our head because the story is so, for us, is so strong, but what's still not being told, that it's impossible not to have it in your head all the time. Like,
Yeah. It was
so
a massive shift in direction for sure, but it was exactly man, I think I reached out to you after I finished the first volume of We Live because that was just such a earth-shattering moment as a comic book reader when that countdown hit 0 and it went black. I'm like, I was afraid to turn the page. I'm like, dude, I've got to talk to these guys. But with volume 2, it was like I enjoyed the shift in direction and it felt like it was a springboard because of like the whole world changed with the finale of volume 1. So I felt like it was just getting started still. Even though we were 2 volumes in, it felt like we were just barely scratching the surface. So
yeah,
I hope
Yeah.
y'all can get it back. I hope it works out. I know y'all have a dedicated fan base for that title. And I'm hoping the same thing is going to happen with Blade Forger because I felt a lot of the same tones, a lot of the same vibes, some familiar themes from We Live to Blade Forger. And I'm definitely curious, where did it come from? Does Blade Forger, like our good friend Mike here, he asked, was it a brand new idea y'all crafted after We Live, or is this something that y'all have had for a while? Where did this come from?
it started a while ago. When we were working on We Live, it started as a conversation, and it was kind of more simpler and different, more direct. The the story, it was shorter, I think, and because we got so into We Live, we just put it in the back burner, and when everything happened with We Live, we just recouped it, but gave it a lot of new conversations. Like, we've been talking about this since 2 years, 3 years already.
It feels massive from the start. This feels really, really massive. It doesn't feel like something that wasn't thought out in depth.
Oh, no, we really we
This
had
is
a lot of
massive.
a lot of conversation. It shifted a lot, the tone, because once we thought I think we got it. It was more a kid's story. We wanted to go that direction, but then we kept on speaking, and it shifted again onto a more mature, darker tone. And then we said, okay, I think we have it.
Yeah.
It was really a lot of conversations, and just so you understand the scope. I mean, we're kind of taking a risk in these first 5 issues, because just not to spoil anything. We can say it without spoiling, because issue 3 will make you see better what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But these first 5 issues were supposed to be the first 5 pages of the story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're not really getting into you see there's a tone in the story where we're not really getting into the meat of the characters.
So that's what I read the New York Comic Con preview one, which takes us up to how do you say his name? Awada?
Owara.
Up to Awada getting to the tournament. And then I picked this up and I did the page turn, and there was like that big moment. And then you turn the page again and you just time jump. You're like, so all I sat with this New York Comic Con story, seeing Owada as a kid traveling, being the people's champ, just a time jump to a whole new starting point. So you're telling me at issue 3, we're kind of going to do that again?
Oh no,
Whoa.
we're going to do that in every issue. No, not that much, but no, I think there's not going to be so much of a time jump from now on. There's going to be some explanation, flashbacks, but
Le da un sentido diferente a los 5 números, lo que pasa en el 3.
what happens in issue 3, I'm translating what Roy just said, gives a whole new sense to the whole what you're reading. Like, you understand better where we're aiming with the story. And
So just to go back to We Live for a second, maybe are there any threads? Hopefully you'll be able to go back to We Live and anything, but knowing where it is now, are there any things that you had anticipated that you wanted to use in We Live that you know what?
No,
Maybe we can take them and work them into the Blade Forger world.
no, because we love We Live so much that that's untouchable. I mean, that
Mhm.
story
Good.
no, it's not. We're not reusing anything from We Live. That's just
I wasn't saying we're using. It's just something that maybe you had planned for future issues
oh,
with Reliving because of the status that it's in now. It's such
mm,
a good concept that you didn't want to that you wanted to use it somehow.
right. No,
Okay, good.
no, really, we got because the characters are so alive. The ones, I mean, you haven't
Mhm.
seen. I can't say things. I have to
Yeah.
bite my tongue. But the characters are so rich and
Mhm.
endearing that they demand their own path.
Mhm. Yep.
Uh, Whatever we came up with for Blade Forger, it was just in the universe of Blade
Mhm.
Forger,
Good.
where we think the story demanded, or the
Mhm.
characters.
So I put out a video earlier this week. I think it was this week, kind of just talking about like what Blade Forger is. And in case people didn't see it, so they'd have something to watch before this live stream. But to catch people up, this is a world where it's agreed upon that the leader, the emperor of this world, is going to be determined by a tournament. And the warriors that go and participate in this tournament are called Blade Forgers because they have a unique sword that comes from a unique forge that gives them a magical ability to access this place called the Gara Gara, which is a supernatural realm where warriors of old pretty much are able to channel through their swords and fight with them on their behalf. Almost like they have like a supernatural avatar on the battlefield with them for brief moments when they perform certain strikes. And
Right.
that's what issue 1 is about. It's about this young man traveling to the tournament to hopefully overthrow the current emperor that people don't like, and he's become like the people's champ. And we see him get to that tournament. We see that he wins it, and then it fast forwards to him being an old man, and it gets very different very fast. But one thing that caught my attention with this book was when I opened it, because I don't know, I've seen this picture for a long time. I've seen this advertised for a long time, but this never stood out to me. That airplane never caught my attention somehow. So I'm thinking this is like sword and sorcery, Game of Thrones type stuff. And I open the book and I see an airplane.
Mhm.
And then I turn the page and I see like very familiar, like farmers sitting around radios. And then you turn the page and you see monsters and mystic looking witches. What explain this world to us? How y'all would describe this world to somebody with all these different elements and animals and creatures and old radios and airplanes and dragons. How does this all come together in y'all's opinion?
Well, when I say that we spoke and started speaking about this about like maybe 10 years ago, when we started speaking about We Live, or less than that. Well, it first started as we used the Meiji era of Japan, like in that era where the Industrial Revolution started, invading the
Mhm.
traditional life in Japan, and there were still, samurais around, and so we based the first idea on that period to make ourselves like an idea of, okay, there's a new energy source that symbolizes the new, the new industry or the industrial revolution, but there's still these warriors with honor that wander around. And when we, started talking about the story again, we wanted to, solidify, okay, what is the technology in this world, where are we at, and we end up putting the story in kind of a world. It's not Earth, obviously, but it's like the 1940s in our world. That moment where, but for example, there's radio, but there's no TV right now.
Mhm.
You have the Corum symbolizes, you have airplanes and military vehicles, and there's big cities like New York. I mean, that's the basic world. This is the civilization that we're in We Live in. Sorry for in Great Georgia. But at the same time, these warriors can access the Garagara,
Mhm.
and the Garagara is a spiritual realm full of, warriors from ancient warriors that were able to, before dying, they send their spirit into the Gara Gara, and they're, I think I can say this because it's the start of issue 2. They exist like statues in that world. So the Blade Forger is the only person that can access that realm, because you have to harness an exact technique to be able to enter that world. It's not easy. Maybe it can take you your whole life to master the technique that allows you to enter in the Gara Gara.
It's very much a story. It's very much a story, though, about what goes on in everyday world, whether it's now or whether it's 100 years ago. A lot of it with the quorum, right, revolves around natural resources, right? And that's basically, the emperor is the one that decides where the natural resources go, and that's how they have this tournament, because there was a war all over all the quorum. But it's very much, you look at any part of history, it's all about natural resources, trying to control the natural resources.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. And that's the utopia that sparked, the characters or the story. Like, our question is, can a natural resource be, free for everybody? It's something so basic that should be like free for, access to everybody, like water. Yeah. So that's the world we live in, and that's the world of Blade Forger, where the Forsaken, the people some people are just dying of cold or hunger because they don't have access to quorum. So that's where Owara comes from that part of the society that's been left out.
So at the point of this story starting with Owada going to the tournament, at that point, how long has the dynamic been around of like having quorum and the tournament being established? How far into, like, how many centuries has it been since that's been common practice or whatever? I might have missed that, but
no, we didn't define that, to be honest.
But he participates in the 20th tournament, right?
Yes.
And it's every 5 years, so at least 100 years since he started, right?
Yeah, you just made me realize. Yeah, we did think about that.
Okay. So math. Okay, math. I signed up for reading. I didn't sign up for math. Okay, thanks, Paul.
I remember now that you mentioned, I remember Roy and I speaking about that. This, okay, when did this started? This is the 20th. Which one? So yeah, it's true. We've been thinking so much of little stuff that I just forget what exactly everything that we have.
That's a good thing. That means the world's so detailed and vast that you can't even keep up. Perfect. you need like one of those boards with the notes and the string attaching everything. Yes. Yeah. So with the forges, all those forges, they're built around little remnants of what's left out of the Gara battle, right?
Yes. I mean, the word forges can take us to a confusion, because we just made it up for this. A forge is like a pebble of power. And in issue 2, we explain where it comes from vaguely. So each forge, you can load your swords with, it's like a revolver. Your sword, you can have 6 forges,
cool.
or 3 or whatever, and you get to enter the fight with your forges in your sword. So there's a strategy that you follow. You decide which forge are you going to use for the attack at that moment.
It's like Pokemon.
Yep.
Pokemon. Okay.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. I
assumed that because it's true. We have so much to explain it, to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can kind of look at who it is you're facing and try to be smart about how you go into battle and try to out strategize your opponent even.
Exactly.
That's really cool. So if you're from a specific, it seemed like certain warriors were trained at a certain forge. Like this forge is a good guy forge, and this one's like an evil dark magic forge kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. They can use each other's abilities at any time.
Yeah, and one,
That's
I
even
mean,
cooler.
we're just spelling things out that are not in the book. But for example, when you win a fight with a blade forger, you can steal their forges. So,
Yes.
Oh,
right,
nice.
because it's to death. Every battle is to death. So there, depending on, you can, you have two ways to have your forges. One, entering the gara gara
Hmm.
and looking for them in there. You have to find them, and you also have to be able to. You have to fight for it, and or you can steal it from a blade forger.
And now are these forges, are these going to end up being something that's extremely rare to find, like another natural resource that's going to be fought over?
And not in, like an the it will be extremely important later on, because right now it's important what forge you have.
Hmm.
I mean, because if you have an unbeatable forge, I mean, I don't want to spill too much, but yeah, it's the forges are very important, and they're not easy to find. Also, it's something that, whether destiny or you have somebody some specific information in the gara gara, because they're like hidden in the gara gara. It's like, imagine the world of Elden Ring and having to look for, for a specific thing. Forging in that world, it's infinite.
No. Well, going back to something you mentioned about how when y'all were putting this together, it almost felt like you were working on a kid's book, but then you kind of kept working on it and it got to more mature themes. That was one of the commonalities I saw with We Live, where it's definitely a mature reader's book, but it's unique in a sense that it has like that feeling of innocence inside of a terrible world, like how we're following Owada in the beginning, in the flashback to him, and how difficult it was for his parents to give him that first blade. He
Mm.
was excited, that childhood innocence. Oh, I've got this. I want to be a hero, and he doesn't know what comes with that burden, with that journey. But balancing that, it's that duality we saw as We Live, where it's like you've got like the kid angle and the darker side of everything that comes with that. Like y'all talked about how your family was a big inspiration and drove the story of We Live, like setting that up. Is that again the same with this, where you're looking to your own family and your own experiences and finding ways to influence this story?
That's difficult question. Well, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say something, Roy Aki or más o menos.
Bueno,
Yeah, let's say one of the characters that you still haven't read, and it's based on Roy's kid. So,
Hmm.
and the personality, everything. Huh?
tiene el Ashcan. En el
Yeah.
Ashcan
Oh,
se
yeah,
ve.
yeah. Well, in the Ashcan, you can find the image of that character. There's a kid on the mule, and the mule has like
A promise is a
tiger
promise.
ear.
Hmm.
Yes. There you go. Yeah. So that kid's going to be important,
Okay.
but
That's your kid. Very cool. Yeah,
but
I think that I don't know. I think when y'all have that kind of legitimate, deep personal attachment to the characters y'all are creating, it helps create better characters. I think it translated well previously, and I'm excited to hear that again with this one. 'Cause I don't know. I think that's what could have been a unique factor for the reading experience of We Live. Like y'all were invested in it in more ways than just simply writing it. So I'm glad to see that y'all are investing like that again in this book.
yeah, we have the lack of having, material to look at and inspire our stories and my drawings, uh, because I think We Live had that thing of, the spontaneity of a kid in sad situations, or rough situations. So kids react differently than adults to
Mhm.
things.
Yeah, and I can definitely see. I mean, where you turned, to more adult themes too, especially when you go forward 61 years and you see
Mhm.
Iwata, right?
Politics.
Exactly. And you see politics, but then you also see him with the prophecy that's going on, right? And maybe there's a chance that maybe, the prophecy could go two different ways. We don't know yet. So, all of that is just kind of, again, puts the layers of the whole lore, I think, of the entire story.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the most difficult things. I mean, we had a lot of chats with Roy and I about it
Mhm.
because we have the story that it's really big in our in our heads that we already broken down,
Mhm.
uh, to wait for the information, to not put all the information that you like readers to know, like, oh, so we do have this idea or this other idea, but so that's a little of, there's a part of frustration there because you have to keep things to yourself,
Yeah.
but the lore is really big. it's
Mhm.
it's even bigger than the reality and the gara gara, and
Mhm.
there's more.
Good.
Now, Mike brings up another good point. This was another very, very welcome feature to see right when you open issue 1 of Blade
Mhm.
Forger. The first time I ever saw this done was with We Live, and this was Roy bringing his unique talents to this book that a lot of comic creators don't have the background Roy does, and it's fantastic that he brings that to this whole reading experience. But do you want to talk about the soundtrack, which y'all should follow the Miranda Brothers YouTube channel because they drop these soundtracks in advance before the books come out and you can hear the songs. But y'all want to talk about how y'all layer the music in with the story?
Right?
Bueno, yo traje a los músicos, no, no he compuesto nada.
He says, I brought the musicians, I didn't make the music. That's why I'm translating his words.
Bueno, o sea, lo que pienso es que Willy, para nosotros la música fue muy importante y al crear Blade Forger volvimos a sentir que la música tenía que acompañar la historia.
He says, when creating We Live, we felt that music was really important, and now with Blade Forger, we felt the same thing, that the music was necessary to follow the story properly.
Now,
Someone mentioned a
what's
little
the
bit
order
earlier
that
that
you do it in though?
it really does immerse yourself more, even more in the story, I think, too. Someone mentioned that in the chat before earlier.
Mhm. Now,
Yeah,
how do you put it together, Roy? Do you hand the book off to the musicians and tell them to make this noise that you see on this page, or do you direct them and what you want it to sound like? What's the process with that?
Contárselo vos, que aparte, empezamos viendo referencias que entiendan qué tipo de estilo musical y trabajamos con el músico así. Después trabajamos la parte de las escenas.
Yeah, we start, both of us, we work together, and we start giving the musician reference of what songs or that we want them to get that feeling. For example, now I'm sorry, ¿qué dijiste después de Roy? Que le damos la música y qué, porque
Que
sometimes I
primero,
start.
como que la referencia es un poco para entender la base musical o hacia dónde tiene que ir. Y después ya trabajamos las escenas concretas.
So first we send them what I said, and once they got the feeling of that from the reference, then we work the exact scene and start tweaking the asking for this or that to them, to Mario, who's the musician. So for example, I can expand saying, for example, the main theme. We had this idea of that main theme exists in the world of Blade Forger because there's the Blade Forgers are like champions in that world, and everybody follows them because throughout the 5 years in between tournaments, uh, you follow who the 16 Blade Forgers that are going to make it to the tournament are.
Mhm.
So it's like a star system that they have, and there are radio shows about them. So that main theme was inspired by, like, to be the main theme of the Blade Forgers in that world too. When you tune, put in the radio show of the Blade Forgers. That's the theme that it's like the champions, in
Mhm.
in soccer. That's the theme in that world of the Blade Forgers. So we wanted to give them that kind of the feeling of like the Lone Rangers show back in the day. So that,
Yeah,
for example,
good.
those were the conversations that we have with Gonzo, the musician, for example, for that specific song.
Yeah, and it's kind of, you get all the people. I mean, just like they would, for the Lone Ranger, you were talking about, the family would gather around the radio at, 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, to listen to the adventures of the Lone Ranger, and it's like it would become a whole familial type of experience.
Mm.
So
Yeah. So in this world, they do that following the stories of every Blade Forger that they following. Like there's like a rank too of Blade Forgers.
nice. Kyle, I think it was Kyle, mentioned about the maps in the back. I had noticed that too. Um, I'm assuming that they weren't just put there for nothing. Um, I had some of the things I noticed is that, excuse me, some of the parts have much more charm than other parts.
Mm.
I don't know if that's going to play something down the road. Excuse me for a second.
World building.
Oh, sorry. I thought okay. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. He's back. He's
Yeah,
back.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I just I noticed that some of the parts have much more charm than other parts do,
Mhm.
including not only the numbers but also the size of the charm deposits are larger in other places. We see that at the end of at the end there may be some dissension going on, and they may be starting to question the emperor and things like that. So I, maybe not everything is unicorns and popcorn and cotton candy in the world, in the future world for
Yeah.
the Blade Forger.
I mean, they come from a world war for for the deposits.
Mhm.
So, and that also influenced the frontiers
Right.
of each country. This is the result of the war,
Hmm.
but I mean, it's an element that it's there for specific things in the story, but
Hmm.
right now we're not going to get exactly in
Okay.
detail. There's some things like maybe a lord, because there are 8 lords and
Hmm.
the emperor. And the lords, maybe someone is hiding a current deposit that he didn't
Oh, yeah.
officially declare. So there are things going on too. I mean, we wanted to put that part of, to us the lords are just just it's like the Sopranos.
Hmm. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they're fighting for territory, and that they're like uh, they're not the best people.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So I mean, they're kind of together, but at the same time there's tensions. And
Hmm.
also with the emperor, there, I mean, the place is to this also happens in issue 2, so it's not so much as a spoiler. And
Hmm.
what I mean is, um their purpose is to control the emperor,
Hmm.
so not the other way around.
Right.
So this is a 5-issue limited series.
I mean, we hope. I mean, right now it's 5 issues, so
Hmm.
it will
Okay.
depend. Unfortunately, it will depend on the numbers, and it will be heartbreaking if we can continue, because the real. I mean, I 5 issues were 5 pages. That's I repeat.
Yeah.
So it would be tough if we can't continue the story, because that's the real meat.
So definitely hope it does. I see y'all are at Mad Cave. What is this your first title working at Mad Cave?
Yeah, creator own. I mean, I did.
Well, I know creator owned, but have you worked at Mad Cave before?
Yeah, I've been doing covers, and I'm doing another book that they're releasing, I think in May, called "Whatever Happened to the Crimson
Yeah,
Justice."
Crimson Judge. Yeah, that looks pretty wild. I
Hmm.
saw the preview for that. I was going to say Mad Cave seems to be it seems like a lot of the independent comics have really made a huge splash this year. Like Dynamite, Mad Cave, like you got Flash Gordon that kicked off at Mad Cave. They're doing Defenders of the Earth, Dick Tracy. So it seemed like a good time to be with that company. They seem to be getting a lot more attention lately, and hope it plays out. I'm primarily a DC guy. I pick up few indies, but I'm finding myself picking up indies left and right. They're hitting on a lot of cool stuff. So I feel like I hope you're in good company with them. I don't think like I know them or anything, but it seems like a great company.
Yeah, so far, I mean, if we went with them because of Mike Martz, who was the editor for We Live. So we're really comfortable with him, and also the deal that they offered us was the best one we had.
Nice. And I see Ava De La Cruz is back as well. So it's like
the whole team. Yeah,
the whole team's back together. The gang's back. Yeah. Yeah. And you worked with Ava De La Cruz on what was it called? Out of Body. That was another one that
I worked with her. Like, I know her for 30 years, so I've been working with her.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean,
like Batman and Robin over here.
Yeah. We went to fine arts together, so we started looking for comic work together. She
y'all's artwork complements each other so well. You know, who's inking a book and who's coloring a book has such an impact on the finished product. And
totally,
y'all's work comes together really well.
Yeah, because really there's a lot of conversations artistically.
Yeah, Nick says that he likes the music with the story. Mike says, how far past 5 pages does the story go? Is this mapped out extensively? So y'all have mapped out pretty far past these 5 issues.
Wow. ¿Cuánto dirías que tenemos de historia?
Here's a solid question.
Story you think I'm asking, Roy? How long do you...
La realidad es que lo que queramos.
Yeah, that's I mean, we have a lot of story written down and plotted. I mean, but the truth is, we can continue this forever because the dynamic of Blade Forger is somehow kind of like One Piece or Pokemon. It's a dynamic that it's very easily to tell story after story.
So in a sense, it's the world that's more alive than the characters inside of it. They come and go, but the world can just...
Yeah, I was going to say, theoretically, right, you could go back to the war, the very beginning that created the empire, right?
Yes.
Right.
Or tell a specific story inside that story because the world is so... For example, this is... recuento un poco lo del brazalete. Okay, I'm just asking you... for example, just so you can see how much we can expand, even if we have a main or different main characters, we can also jump to another characters and tell story because the system of selecting the 16 Blade Forgers that participate in the tournament, it's very wild. It's 16 bracelets. The golden bracelets are given to the randomly to 16 Blade Forgers. From there on, there are 5 years until the next tournament. Whoever gets to the tournament with a golden bracelet, it's in. So they just fight for the bracelets, basically. If you encounter a Blade Forger and you're a Blade Forger, you have to be Blade Forger. It's like a duel in the Far West. They have to fight for the bracelet.
So I want to go back and see how Owada got his bracelet originally. I don't know how important of a character Owada will be in the long run, but right now, after one issue, he's the focus point in my mind. But for some reason, I'm thinking like that's just a twist. Like that's Owada doesn't mean anything almost.
He's already had a kid, so they already have.
He's already had a kid. He's already a bad ruler. He's by the end of issue 1, Owada is the person he had to defeat in the beginning of issue 1. I'm like, this is
well, yeah. I mean, everything counts. I mean, I think when we spoke with Roy about this and got a laugh because we ended up saying to ourselves, okay, you all know that the main character is the one with the most possibilities of getting to be emperor and change the world. That's the main character.
Yep.
So that means whoever you think should get the bracelet is the main character.
Mm.
So you want the
Gotcha.
world to to change, somebody to change the world. So you will decide who you think is the main character, because you want to be able to know who gets the bracelet and who gets to the tournament.
Yeah,
And
that's an interesting way of looking at it. You kind of just because again the environment changes from the first half of issue 1 to the second half. So in the first half you're like rooting for this kid, in the second half you're like, oh man, I'm supposed to like this kid, but he's
He may
kind
not
of
belong.
terrible for his people. Like I feel conflicted already. Like, what a great intro, but dude, you're being terrible right now. Why are you being so bad? So yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. However you feel you want this world to change, you root for that person. I like that. It's more open-ended.
Yes, and I mean, we have a lot of story. Really, I just insist because there's a roster of characters that are, our goal is we want you to like many characters.
That's fair. We got a familiar face here. You know our friend Eman.
Oh, Iman, yeah.
Oh yeah, he said, and we were talking about this backstage before the show. I think he said his shops haven't received their books yet. He's hoping that they get it in Wednesday.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's bad.
yeah, orders are weird right now. We were talking about that, how when this book went up for solicitation to be ordered, it was like right in the middle of the big distribution shakeup. So whether you've gotten your copy yet, or if you're looking for your copy, definitely ask your shops. Even if they've already were able to place orders, it still can be ordered directly from Mad Cave. I actually ordered extra copies. I went in at the beginning of last week and got my copy, and I was seeing how many were left over if I was going to grab some extra copies, because I like to do giveaways and stuff like that. And all of them had been claimed. Between me announcing that the book's coming out this week, come hang out with you guys on the stream, they were all claimed. Not a single copy went to the wall. All the subscribers took all of them. So my shop ordered some more.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So they can be reordered.
Yeah, my shop had sold out of them as well. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing a second printing right now.
Okay.
Yes. So, I love the format. I got to talk about it. This is very familiar to me. As a fan of you guys, I like that y'all did the gatefold cover, and I love that the second print is the same thing but a different color.
Right, but it's not going to be a gatefold.
Yeah,
Matt Cave told us it's going to be simple, a regular cover. So that's the only one that's going. The first printing is the only gatefold cover there will be.
Nice. So if you do a third print, if it goes to third print, are you going to do like one that looks like it was left outside for a long time? Like a weathered look?
Yeah, following the Willie, right? Yeah. I mean, that was the idea, to follow the sensations we had with Willie. But
that's what I thought when I saw the pink cover. I'm like, oh, is a blue one coming?
Yes.
Is there going to be a weathered one?
Well, hopefully, yeah, we can do the whole spectrum.
There you go.
Yeah. I was also excited. I did notice, and this has to speak for the sales. A lot of retailers, whether they be brick and mortar stores or just online shops, they got in on this ahead of time. With We Live, it was kind of a natural, organic phenomenon where people like myself and Ryan, who was on here with me last time y'all were here, we read the book, and then we started telling everyone that we knew, you've got to read this book. So it went back to that second, that third, that fourth, and then shops started doing their variants. They started ordering exclusives after the fact. With Blade Forger, I noticed there's already a good handful of shops that ordered their own covers at the beginning.
That's true. Yes. But we still trust on the word of mouth. I think
absolutely
that's where we put our hopes on, because we're still small, to be honest. I mean, we're not great superstar sales that from the beginning we're going to sell a lot. So we do trust that the word of mouth gets us, the sales to work.
Well, I'm definitely going to be doing my part like I did. I told you I've already seen similarities in the reading experience and the story experience where I expect this to be a blast. So I've already been sharing it out and hoping it picks up some more. E-Man here has a question for Roy. Will you be doing a variant cover?
Maybe.
Maybe.
The drawer is my brother, not me.
That's why we need one from you.
Not that.
That's why we
Yeah.
need one.
And
Yeah,
and you talked about word of mouth. I think it's it's very fortuitous that this is coming out at the same time that you're doing 3 issues for Action Comics as
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
because your name is there, it's
Mhm.
out there, and it's a nice opportunity for a comic to say, hey, if you like this stuff, read the Miranda Brothers stuff that's coming out too. So
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, that affects it. Yeah, but if not, we'll just maybe issue 3 will convince them.
I think that's the one. We'll definitely going to be doing our part over here to spread the word. That's for sure. What do y'all have? What do y'all have next outside of Blade Forger? Y'all already crafting other ideas to expand y'all's catalog together? You got We Live, we got Blade Forger. Are y'all just focusing on this, or y'all thinking beyond that yet?
No, we're already writing a new story world, big world too,
oh,
And what
and
was that one called?
we can't say the title, but it's with Ignition Press. We're already
That's where I
signed.
was, yeah, that's where I was going with this one.
Yeah, they are already announced at least that we're working with them, so we can say that. And they like to describe it as Akira directed as by Miyazaki.
That's
oh,
epic.
That's how it's like
That's
a
a high standard. That's
right.
very high
It was me, it
standards.
was him.
Like that's
But
two extremely high standards.
yeah, and we're. I mean, it's totally different from We Live and Blade Forger, and this time we're playing with a little bit with abstraction, and not too
With
much, but
what?
abstraction. Uh, like I don't know how to describe that, but it's a sci-fi
There we go.
fantasy story, and it's quite unique, really, and it's also it's based on an art project that I started myself, like yeah, more than 10 years ago. So it's been 10 years creating the world visually. So it's
Golly. And
yeah,
y'all are doing that together, right?
yes, yeah.
nice.
So when
Mm.
is it? What is the whole Ignition Press thing like? Is it's a new publisher that just do they have any books out yet? Are they just getting started?
No,
What's the
they just started, and I think I don't know exactly. I don't know their schedule there because it sounds very promising how they're going to handle everything. We're really excited. And I don't want to say too much because I think they want to, uh, he said like, tell them the develop the marketing themselves.
Yeah, yep.
got?
But um,
I do want to say they have set up their own Instagram account, so I'm assuming they're on other social media accounts too. So you can
yeah, if
follow
you
the
yeah,
Miranda brothers and you can find their posts. You can find Ignition Press. They've shared out that image that y'all are on board with them. They shared out an image where they went to Comics Pro this year, so they're clearly involved. They got the Comics Pro invitation, so
yeah, the sensation we have is that they're going to start I don't want to use the word big. It sounds big, but solid. They're quite solid, and they have a very nice strategy, and it really makes us very excited to be part of the creators that they're starting with. I mean, our book is going to be. Uh, it's right now I'm already working on the art and we're already writing it,
Nice.
So, but it's going to. I don't want to. I'm getting like in myself shut down because I don't want to say anything that they're going to announce.
NDA face. Yeah,
Yeah,
NDA
exactly.
face.
Yeah.
But it's aiming somehow something's going to appear this year, I think.
Nice.
Perfect. Now, is this because we've seen a couple of companies come? We saw Ghost Machine come together. You're familiar with Ghost Machine, right? With Jeff Johns and all of them. Like that was shocking and huge. And then we saw a little bit before that, we saw Distillery with a group of creators that they got together. They're like, we're going to keep doing what we do, but let's also get together and do this. I don't know if you can say or not, but is that what Ignition looks like? A group of established, known folks coming together to put out stuff under another publisher?
No, the umbrella is different. I mean, there are creators, but they're under the umbrella of. A hint is that Ignition Press means it's a hint for IP.
Oh, IP, Ignition Press. There you go.
So there's a connection there with exploiting IPs and so it's more like they really the fresh idea that I got from them is that they give a lot of importance to the creator and what they want to tell, and for us to be comfortable in every way, that we're not starving.
That sounds good.
And they're very respectful with the artistic integrity and the creativity and the idea of the creators.
Well, this is my last question about them. I'll quit twisting your arm. But are the books that come from Ignition Press expected to be direct market comics, straight to the comic shops?
I think everything. Yeah, that for sure. That part for sure. But that part I can't tell because I don't know exactly what they're.
Yeah.
But from what I heard, everything. They're going to have a really expanded strategy.
Okay. Yeah, because I know everything's so different these days with accessibility. There's just so many different ways that people do things. We've recently seen like huge creators that've been around forever, like Rob Liefeld, announcing new books that he's not even going to make available for comic shops, only available if you buy it straight from him. And he like between Whatnot and Kickstarter and all these different avenues, I didn't know if Ignition Press was doing some kind of different marketing strategy, but I definitely appreciate the folks out there that are still keeping the comic shops in mind, because
no, this
they
definitely will reach the comic shops. I mean, I can't know for sure because I'm not the guy to ask that, but it's not thought to not go to retailers. I don't think so. No.
Paul, you got anything else, man? We're right at an hour.
No, other than to just thank both of you. Ryan and Inaki, totally appreciate you coming on and talking with us.
Here's a great question, real quick, before we cut it out. What's any United States comic conventions planned in your upcoming schedules?
We don't know. To be honest, we decided that we're going to wait for the reaction on Blade Forger
to decide if you want to show your faces or not.
Right. If not, we don't want people angry at us. So if there's a good reaction, we'll see if maybe we can put something this year or the next. We're not sure. I mean,
the only big convention that I ever make it to is Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina, which, much like how you described Ignition Press, the comic book creators are your stars there. They don't have actors, or they don't have the movie stuff. It's just the comic book writers and artists. But y'all might want to look into that for next year. If you're comfortable with that, that'd be the one. That would be the one.
Okay, wait. Right?
Yeah, kinda.
The next thing he'll be asking you to move to Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of far traveling or anything, but I always go to Heroes Con, and at this point, there's tons of people on YouTube making content. There's tons of people on Instagram doing content, and just like 4 years ago, it was like me and like 3 or 4 other guys from online. Then the year after that, there was like 20 of us. Then last year there was over 50 people just from like the online community that have channels or pages and stuff. And now this year it's even bigger. So Heroes Con has become the one that everyone converges on because it's a comic book convention. It's not a pop culture con. They don't have tons of toys. They don't have tons of anime. It's just comic book creators, writers, and artists. So even though I am biased, it is my preferred one. Anyone that comes to it, they all say the same thing. That was the best comic book show I've ever been to.
Oh, well. Okay.
But y'all would probably love it.
Okay, well, we'll write it down on the
look,
first one.
Look into it.
Okay.
Yeah. And plus, Comics Curing Cancer is repped hard at Heroes Con. Yeah, we do the Comics Curing Cancer event here on YouTube.
Oh,
yeah, we
nice.
did just right at $60,000 last year. It's just a 3-day event we do live on YouTube. We get some some content creators together and plan 3 days worth of shows, and it's all ran on the people in the community that watch the channels and has channels. They just kind of donate and come together, and 100% of it all goes to the American Cancer Society. And we do all kinds of fun stuff. Like last year we put together an art book that we had to sell at Heroes Con and stuff, and yeah, it's fun. We got John Jang to remark that one for us.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Sounds
Nice. Oh, congratulations. I mean, that's great, really.
It's fun. I'll talk to you more about that later if you want to talk about that. Heroes Con should be paying Mark. He sold a lot of tickets for them. I did. Yeah.
In fact, you got John Jang to go there last year, right?
Yeah, last year, just one random day, we just kind of started telling everyone in all these group chats to go tag Heroes Con on John Jang's post. And within 24 hours, Heroes Con reached out to him and invited him to the show. So, yeah, there's a lot of us that go. It works.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, we're at an hour. I don't want to keep you guys. I know y'all are busy. Thank y'all so much for coming on. Y'all got anything you want to leave anybody with?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
You got anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to announce?
No, that just first of all, thank you to you guys for having us. And
of course.
Oh yeah.
Speak about
I'm gonna give away this copy of this New York Comic-Con edition of Blade Forger. Both of y'all signed this. I had friends that went to New York Comic-Con and picked me up a couple of copies, and I don't need but one, so I'm going to give one away to somebody in the chat. If y'all want to drop the hashtag Blade Forger in the chat, I'll get the giveaway going real quick, so we can send this to a new home.
Okay.
Let's see if I can spell this right, Paul.
And whoever gets it should know that the turning point, it's right after that in that page.
And there's a lot of stuff in this book right here that is not in issue 1. You get the Gara Gara tour, which gives you like the breakdown and some backstory of the Gara Gara with the Lotus and the dragon and stuff that I'm not going to get into until people get a chance to read it. But what was very helpful were the 2 pages after that, where y'all did the explanation of everything. What is a Blade Forger? What is a Battle Kaiser? What is the Gara Gara? And it was really, really cool stuff in here. That's when I realized that this story is much bigger than any of us know.
Yeah, with that, with the tips that you mentioned, those are supposed to be like, like in the uploading screen in the video game that gives you tips.
Oh yeah. Dude, you can tell y'all are heavily inspired from anime and video games.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna spin this thing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this double signed copy of Blade Forger #1 New York Comic-Con Ashcan exclusive goes to Ryan Riley.
There you go.
Boom. Congrats, Ryan. So, dude, thank y'all, everyone who came out and hung out at this special showing. Thank you to the Miranda brothers. Paul, as always, thank you so much. And until next time.
Thank you. You've been great with that. Thank you.
Our Legion.
Thank you.